Hello everyone. In this video I want to show you how to use the freeze panes option in Excel. To find this option, you want to go to the View tab, and they will be over here to the right. And you're going to have, whether you're using Excel for Mac like I'm using, or using Excel for Windows, you should have all of these three options. One option to freeze multiple, you have the option to freeze multiple columns, multiple rows, freeze only the top row, and freeze only the first column. So let's look at each of these. Freezing the top row and first column isn't going to work for every worksheet, but let's just look at it now. Freezing the first column. Look, it's really not going to work in this situation. This first column doesn't really have any data in it. When we move to the right, it doesn't help us that much. But if we did have our row labels in this column, it'd be perfect. We'd be able to use those row labels to read data all the way out to 40 columns. Top row. Being able to use the top row is great. You can, if your row headers were in the top row, it'd be great. In this situation, it's only letting us see the very top row, but if you merged your first and second row, it would count both rows as the top row. So that's one way that you could use just the row 1 freeze pane. It's one way you could manipulate it to make it more useful. So this is the one that I normally use, and I actually have it on right now. Freeze panes. So freeze panes will work wherever you put your cursor. So if I put my cursor here, everything to the top and to the left is not going to move. It's going to stay in a fixed position. I think the best place to put this, I'm not really worried about what number row this is. Best place to put this to freeze panes is right here, because then that will allow me to see my header row, and it'll allow me to see all these payment dates, which I could relate to all this data. So having a cursor here, or having this cell selected while selecting freeze panes, is going to help us out. You see that? See how the column, or you could actually see the pane being created by this line right here. That just shows us that this is going to stay in a fixed position. So yeah, it's nice. I have this one document where I have to go over, I have like 40 columns of data, literally 40 columns of data, and I have to go back and forth, and it just depends on certain parts of the discussion where I'm going to be at in the document, and it's probably racks this person's brain for me going back and forth. But at least I could freeze. I freeze usually like the first 5 rows just for the data that we're trying to focus on, and then when we relate that data, we move over to other columns. So it makes it a little bit easier for the customer that I talk to. So as you can see, these first 3 rows are frozen, allows us to relate the dates to all this other data, and then when I move down, we can keep that main column header visible so that we know what data we're looking at. So that is the freeze panes option. I hope it helps you and your documents. It's definitely proven to be valuable with a number of Excel documents that I use on a daily basis.